everyone. Today we got to play the Tavern of Tiefenthal. So this is a card or deck building
Drafting.
dice
Dice rolling.
dice drafting and rolling game.
Wait, dice rolling. Drafting is cards.
You draft the dice too. You pick one.
Yeah,
you pass.
you're right. I guess so. Never mind.
Look at that. So let's dig into it. But before we do, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because we'd like to hang out with you again. So, tell us more about the game.
The game was designed by Wolfgang Warsch. Artist was Dennis Lohausen. Publisher North Star Games. Board Game Geek gives it a 7.6 score. It is a 2 to 4 player game, and we've already talked about the mechanics.
So let's dig into quality of pieces. So the cards are in fact textured. What do you think about the thickness?
They're pretty good. I like these cards. They're smaller size, but I don't mind that. The cards are good stock.
Yeah, I felt like when I was shuffling them, it wasn't so bad. Like I was afraid I was going to tear them or anything. So that was nice. The dice are wooden dice, so in that case, I do feel like they could have done better.
Yeah, they're just basic standard dice.
They are
a lot of Euros or have those.
Yeah, well, and they're a little bit smaller, but oh well. Then you have some generic cubes for the different resources to keep track. And then you have some cardboard bits. Now, the interesting thing about this one is your player board comes in pieces. And the reason why is you can actually purchase upgrades and flip them over in the game. And I thought that was actually a pretty neat component for
well,
this.
it's like you get to do a puzzle before you get to play the game, which is cool.
Yeah, trying to figure out where it goes what. But I do. So in that piece, I think the player board is actually pretty cool. It's kind of unique, and I kind of like that. So overall, for quality, though, I think I can't give it more than a 7. The card quality is great, but that's the only thing that's good.
Well, you've got these little coasters to pass.
And you kept trying to put your drink on
them. You kept trying to steal mine. I don't want to hear it. Every turn, I had to go finding my coaster because you'd taken it. But yeah, it looks like a Dr. Pepper belongs on it, and I had to resist the urge to put it on there. One of the other things is the main board, the scoreboard or whatever, not really scoreboard, but the turn tracking board has modular too. It's got puzzle pieces as well. So, and that's for one of the expansions, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I'm probably with you as far as a 7 goes. I think the cards are cool, the board's cool, but other than that, it's just basic bits.
Yeah. So moving on to theme. So basically, you're running a tavern, and in that tavern, you have to hire workers, which are this set of cards up here, or upgrades to your tavern, as well as you have a tavern and then you upgrade your board. So you're either adding a table to your tavern or increasing your storage space, or adding a kitchen or a dishwasher. So thematically, it's all there. And then at the end, you're trying to buy victory points, aka guests that also serve a function in your deck hand of being able to give you money, which allows you to do some of these upgrades. So I think the theme is integrated into gameplay. Mm-hmm. I love it. I really like what they did as far as integration. It stays consistent throughout. I like it. I'll give it an 8. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they've done a great job of making a very simple to learn game and taking it and fitting a theme around the mechanics very well. As far as, it's a very fun theme. It's,
mm-hmm.
You got the little tavern, you got these interesting people coming in, you kind of think about, what's their backstory? It's just a little cartoon character, but, it's interesting that they have all these different people coming to your tavern.
That would make it just a little bit better if we found out that this is, old Grandma Moses and, there, or something like just even a one-liner. That would have been, I think that's what would have taken it from an 8 to a 9 to a 10, depending on the one-liners. As far as theme, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm probably at an 8.5 in general about this.
Okay.
So I think it's a little better than an 8. I really like what they've done with this game. The feel of it. It's a really good, solid, light entry game. As far as the art is beautiful, and everything about it I enjoy. So I'm gonna have to give it 8.5. I think.
Yeah, I totally understand that. So moving on to rules. We've played this once before. I don't know how much you had to reread the rules this time around.
I really didn't. I mean, we missed one thing that we'd forgotten that you did, but it wasn't a big deal.
For you guys.
Yeah. You still won. Don't.
Yeah, I know.
So the rules are simple though, very straightforward. They've got lots of good pictures in the rule book to help you understand where things go and how things work. The setup is real simple as far as that goes. They've got it color coordinated for the gameplay, so it steps you right through it. I mean, the rules are 12 pages long, and I think that's precisely what it needs as far as getting the information across. They've got an explanation of every symbol in the game in the book. There are no cheat sheets, but honestly, once you get the symbology down, you probably won't need them. It's pretty simple. And, we'll talk about it later, but there's 5 mini expansions that come in the game when you buy it, which is really cool.
We need to play with them because I haven't got to yet, and so I want to.
So, yeah, I think they've done a great job. And they have another rule book for those expansions, the modules, they call it. So there's 4 pages of that. So, yeah, I think it's the rule book is really well done. I'm going to give it a 9. I think it's a really well done rule book. It's very straight to the point. It's not like it's not like an entertaining book to read, but it's easy to read, and it gets the information across in a succinct manner.
So let's get into gameplay. So gameplay, first everyone ends up laying out their board. So basically you have your own deck and you flip over cards, and
you have the same deck. Everybody has the same exact deck.
Starting out.
A 7-card deck, and then you draw 3 more cards in the basic game. One of the expansions changes that, but yeah, the basic game you get 3 more standard cards that everybody gets the same.
Yeah, and then you start flipping and you fill up your tavern. And so once you fill up all your seats, then you stop drawing. Now there are cards in the game that obviously they don't have seats, like you get extra beer cards, extra die cards, modifying pips.
Oh, those are all your employees.
Yeah, so basically if you draw your employees throughout your deck, they don't count towards your seat count. And you can draw extra seats to give you more positions for people to come into your bar. But once it's completely full, you're done. That's the end. They do have tokens that allow you to mulligan, so if you just ended up with a really crappy hand, you can choose to. You only get 3 in the whole entire game, so you kind of want to be stingy with them, but at the same time, you need it.
You earn them too. You don't just get them at the beginning. You earn them as you move through the game.
Right. So with that, okay, so then everyone rolls the dice. So everyone rolls their 4 dice, and any additional dice, which will be that appropriate player color, depending on if
everybody has white dice. It's generic, and then you each one have player color dice. These are specifically for the barmaids. If you get these, you keep them. You don't the ones that are in your player color.
Mm-hmm. And so you roll those 4 along with your dice. You keep your dice because you'll get to place them at the end of the drafting, and then so you pick which one you wanted, you put the other 3 on the coaster, and you pass them, and you keep doing that until everyone's drafted 4 white dice and whatever colored dice extra that you had due to the gameplay, and then you can place your dice. So you place your dice on the locations that you're going to use, and then you in turn order they get triggered all at once, and then you can get money, beer, and then you can purchase 1 customer and as many staff as you desire, or upgrades.
Yeah, the only exception to the 1 customer rule is the royalty, where if you have enough beer, you can buy up to 3 royalty.
Yeah, I just see it as 1 buy though, so
it's
you
still
get
1
buy. So that's the way I look at it to kind of ease my brain.
One interesting aspect is any cards you accumulate in this don't go into a discard pile. They go on top of your deck. So you will be getting them the next round. So you can stockpile your employees and put them on top of your deck to help you out for the next round.
Yeah, so you typically want to spend the beer first and then spend your gold, depending on the weight.
It really doesn't matter a whole lot because you're only going to get 1 card. It's going to clutter it. And all the employees are going to come up anyway. So.
Well, yeah, it just depends on how you want to do it. So with that, that's the synopsis of the game. The thing I think I really enjoyed about this is the fact that you get to upgrade your tavern. That was my favorite bit. And, it's standard drafting, which I also appreciate, but I really do think it's the upgrading the tavern that really got me hooked that I really appreciated. What was the thing that you really appreciated about this
Well,
game?
I like that there's an element of press your luck on it. And not that you can really avoid it because you're going to keep drawing until you fill your tavern. But there's the whole I might draw an employee that's going to give me additional dice, and that's really cool. Or I might draw and just fill up my tavern, and that sucks. And then you've got the mulligans to spare you and get you out of those situations, but you can burn through those really fast in some cases. I like that you develop each round. You get perks each round. Everybody gets the same perk or a choice, actually, in some of them. That's a really cool aspect. I like that there's 2 units of money. You've got the money and the beer to buy different things, and they work kind of. One gives you the other almost. The money gives you the beer gives you the money, so that works pretty cool as far as how they work together. And then, the only complaint I think I have about the game is that it feels like the upgrading of the tavern is like the way to win. I mean, it's like there's no other choice. If one person upgrades their tavern and the others don't, they're going to win the game. Because
I don't think that's true. I think if you strictly focus on beer, if you get a lot of the doublers, upgrade your beer collection, and then you could end up just purchasing a bunch of kings. Especially since we learned about the pile of the purple. Mm-hmm. Then the purples don't clutter up your hand.
Well, no,
and I think so. I think I was at a, it affected me more because I had the purples. But I think if you knew that the purples weren't going to clutter your hand, mm-hmm. I think you would have ended up getting more earlier on, which could have, because you weren't far behind me. Nor was Rob. No, I think we were all pretty close. So I think that is something to consider. I think if we played it knowing that the purple stacked, mm-hmm. I think it would have evened out a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, I think there's more to gain from upgrading your board. You get the special perk, plus you get a victory point.
But it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money, don't get me wrong, or sacrificing cards. That's another aspect that's really interesting about the game is they have a cost to upgrade your pieces, but there's also an alternative cost for a lot of the spaces anyway, not all of them. But a lot of the spaces, you can pay the card that you would get that's associated with that space and reduce the cost by the number of cards you turned in. So if it costs 12 to buy something and you get a reduction of 3, for each one you turn in, you could potentially get it for nothing if you turned in 4 cards.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you can reduce it by the cost of the card that you're turning in, but it's only for the ones that have cards associated with
them. Yeah. No, but I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, so I thought that's a neat aspect of the game, and it gives you a permanent benefit on some of them as if you had played that card ongoing, or if you had an extra chair.
Like I didn't mind because I always thought you could only do it once, and so I was more than happy. I'm like, oh well, I'll give up a temporary plus dice to have a permanent plus dice. That makes mm-hmm. sense to me, and I get to pay less gold, which I kind of paid out beforehand. So I was completely okay doing that. Mm-hmm. So that kind of worked out. Give it a score.
Honestly, I think this is a very well crafted game. I'm pretty much at a 9 on this one. I think it's a very solid game. It's fun and it's intriguing for being something that you can get to the table and play with almost anyone. It's I would call it light to medium, barely. It may be even light. It's on the borderline of just being an entry level game. But I think it's a little more advanced than something that if you had a non.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of mechanisms, but if the player knows those, like if they understand drafting,
yeah,
it's not going to be that difficult to teach them this game.
No.
And with a little bit of dice placement, there you go, bam,
yeah.
Easy. So I think that's pretty straightforward. I'm going to give this one probably an 8.5. I really, really liked it. It's really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I like building up my tavern. Of course, I always love games that also build businesses. Mm-hmm. That's me. I like to build, and there wasn't any attacking, nothing. No one could really. I mean, the drafting, so sometimes I ended up with crap dice, but I really didn't feel like that was an attack, so I was completely okay with it. So it kind of worked out. I really enjoyed it. So, okay. Well, any last comments before we say goodbye?
No, I want to play it again soon because I was
with
very
the expansions,
disappointed.
please.
Well, that's fine. I'm perfectly fine with that.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.